I believe that everyone has a story. I believe that God is at the center of everyone's story. My name is Nicole, and this is my story. About 8 years ago, my dad was moving out of my house and my parents were getting a divorce. My life and my family started to fall apart. Me and my brother and sister were arguing and fighting all the time. We never got along. My parents were constantly screaming at each other, and my dad kind of just was out of my life. He wasn't really around that much when I was a little kid, and things just went completely downhill. We were Catholic, and we kind of just went to church on Sunday because it was the right thing to do. We kind of believed that we were going to heaven just because we were baptized and we were good people. But I started going to Awana at Grace Church with one of my friends, and I was told about this guy named Jesus and how you need to have a personal relationship with him to get to heaven. And that night, about 7 years ago, I accepted Christ into my heart. I remember coming home and telling my mom, and she laughed at me and said, "No, like, that's not true. You aren't, like, you were already saved. You're already going to heaven." And I knew, though, that I had something different, and I found something different. So I got a Bible and I started reading the Gospels, and I just started falling in love with God. And actually, surprisingly, a couple years later, my mom ended up accepting Christ through a Bible study she was in. And so now it was kind of me and my mom against my brother, my dad, and my sister on like what church to go to and a lot of other things. And we were kind of split in half, and it was really hard, but slowly but surely God, I could see him working in my life. My mom stopped the divorce. My parents were becoming closer. My dad started changing. His attitude started changing. My sister went to a women's retreat where she accepted Christ as a sophomore in high school, and you could definitely see God working in my family. Eventually, my dad moved back in after 7 years. He now lives with us again, and just God's grace has been clearly evident in my family. We come to church every Sunday because we realize that fellowship is important, and a couple years ago, my brother ended up accepting Christ, and we're still on a journey. We still struggle, but God, you could just see his love and his mercy in my family. My dad wants to be around all the time, and God is definitely changing his heart to look more towards him. And my mom, her grace and mercy towards us is just amazing, all because of God's love. And I think one verse that has really impacted me is 2 Chronicles 20:15-17, which says, "Do not be afraid or discouraged because of this vast army, for the battle is not yours, but God's. Stand firm and watch the deliverance of your Lord." And I go to public school, and persecution is around me all the time, but it's so important to have God in your life and to have that relationship, because God really is that backbone, and he will really be there for you all the time, and he will keep you strong even in your times of weakness. Just as Jesus gave his life for us, we can give our lives to him. Our future, our worries, our relationships, our careers, our everything. I believe that everyone has a story. I believe that God is at the center of everyone's story. My name is Nicole, and this was my story.
You're my lifeline, I knew